Welcome back to the Priority Wellness Podcast. Today we have guest host, back again, Executive Director of Priority Wellness Campaign, Mr. Michael Briggs. Michael, welcome back.
Hey, Colin. Thanks for having me back on. It's always fun to join the podcast.
Of course, and we love having you. You know, yesterday was Thanksgiving. How was yours?
It was good. I had a really good day. Spent some time, did some walking outside in the nice brisk air, and did a little bit of exercising after eating some food. So
Yes, yeah, and you know, I could not get enough food yesterday. I have my cousin visiting from New York City. She is a chef. She used to be a private chef for the owner of Chipotle.
Oh.
I don't know if she would like me disclosing that, but hey, whatever.
Too late.
She became our private chef yesterday, and it was lovely.
That's awesome.
We had just a traditional Thanksgiving dinner, but you know, she just makes things that are normally so simple, so elegant.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you know, today is Black Friday, but it seems like Black Friday is more than just a day now. It goes on to Cyber Monday. The deals start a week before, and you know, I think that deals even go up right until Christmas Eve now.
Yeah. They go pretty far now. And while we're talking about Black Friday, it should be worth mentioning that our raffle is still going on until the end of the month. So instead of spending money on a TV that you don't really need, spend some money on a couple of raffle tickets.
Yeah, I love your plug there.
Yeah.
And you know, that's exactly why you're here today, is to plug our peer program.
Exactly.
So let's talk about that. I know that we've talked about it on the podcast before, but you know, it's been going on. We've had the peer program be successful.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the benefits of it, and let's talk about the process.
Sure. So the flagship program of PWC is our peer program, and we know that peer-to-peer discussions really break down the barriers and allow people with shared and lived experiences to talk about what's going on in their life. And those similar experiences help us relate with each other, right? We often see this sort of the same type of calls out in the field, whether it be an EMT, a police officer, a firefighter. We can all kind of relate to certain things like that. So we create a space where you can feel comfortable sharing that information and not have to worry about that topic or the discussion being shared with everybody in your workplace.
The confidentiality piece is really the most important of this program, I think.
Yes. So one of the common concerns is everybody's going to know, when I ask for help, and that's not the case. You actually sit on our board, right? And so you're a volunteer of our organization. You will know that just like everybody else, not everybody knows when somebody has a peer session. That's not an open discussion within the organization. Everybody doesn't know about who we see and what they talk about. There's only a couple people that actually have access to that information, and it's myself and our deputy director Ryan and whoever the peer program director is, which that position is vacant right now. So if that's something that you're interested in and you think that you'd be a good fit, feel free to apply and volunteer. But only the three of us have access to that information, and it's kept under strict confidentiality. So
yeah, and when we first started, we were kind of reporting on the use of the peer program, but I don't think that we're not really reporting on that anymore. I don't think that it's really necessary.
No. So in the board report, which is accessible to anybody that wants to see it, to the public, but that report tells how many sessions we've had in a given month, since we have our board meetings monthly. So the board does know how many we do, right?
Okay.
And that's available to the public. I mean, if anybody wants to know, we'll tell you. That's fine. It's not going to disclose anything. But the only thing that we report on is how many we've done.
Right, right.
All that information, all the data, from the form that is submitted online to the notes from the session is all kept in a database that's got HIPAA level privacy on it. So it can't be, it's not going to be hacked into, or it's not freely accessible to anybody that wants to see it.
So how, you mentioned filling out a form online. How would somebody request a session with one of our peers?
Yeah, so our peer program takes in people through our website. So if you go to pwcnny.org, and then you can go to /peer, PEER, that will bring you to our peer program homepage. And if you scroll down a little bit, you'll click on a button that says schedule a peer session. It's going to take you through a couple pages of questions, and while it may seem like that's a lot of questions and we want to know a lot, it allows us to gather a good amount of information before we have the session with you. So say you're having issues with your significant other, right? And we have somebody who's had issues with family or with home life, or they have that lived experience. I may not be the one to sit with you and to hear you and to offer some solutions because I don't have that lived experience, whereas somebody that, may be a better match. So we try to get as much information before going in to the session to make sure that we can provide the best service. So it'll ask you about how you're feeling, what the issue is, what your profession is, and then how you want to have the peer session, whether that's virtual, in person, on the phone.
Yeah. And going back to what we were talking about before, I want to reiterate that the organization holds its volunteers to the utmost confidentiality procedures.
Yes, every one of our volunteers signs, everyone that has access to peer information or that does peer sessions signs a confidentiality agreement. So that way we can assure that we're keeping the information safe and that it will always be kept safe, regardless of if they're an active volunteer or a past volunteer.
Speaking of volunteers, we did a survey a couple of months ago, and you and I have both talked about how we've heard from people wanting to volunteer for the organization. So just to throw it out there for anybody who's listening, what's that process like for people who are interested in volunteering?
Sure. One of the most common positions that we have questions on is the peer advocate volunteer for our peer program. So I'll talk a little bit about what we expect from those volunteers and how you can apply. If you visit our website, pwcnny.org/volunteer, you'll go right to our volunteer page, and all of our positions are posted there, so you can take a look at those and what the description is. Another question that we get is wanting to know if you have to have any experience as a peer, and that's not the case. If you don't have any experience, that's fine. We'll teach you how to talk to individuals that are in crisis. That's one of the pillars that we use to train, is talking about how to assist people when they're having a hard time, what to say, what not to say, things of that nature. So applying is pretty simple. You go on, answer a few questions. We'll get in touch with you in about 2 weeks at the most, and we'll schedule an interview to talk with you and get to know you a little bit better, your values and things like that. And if we think it's a good fit for each other, we'll invite you on and go through the onboarding process, which just includes a little bit of training and, like I said, the peer specific training, and you'll be well on your way to becoming a peer advocate.
And of course, you will be able to hang out with us all the time.
That's like the best thing. Honestly, it's a great time.
I think that we keep going back to Ottman's, and now called North Country Grounds, and you'll get to come have a cup of coffee with us there once in a while.
Yeah, that's like the OG stomping ground is that place. It's just amazing.
And now that it's the holidays, we tend to go to the what's that place called?
On the square?
Yeah, the Tom and Jerry place. Yes, the Crystal. I only go there for Tom and Jerry's, unfortunately. But I
They have good
love.
food too, but the Tom and Jerry's are very good for you 21 and over folk.
I love a traditional Tom and Jerry.
Yes.
So
And then to just finish off my what I was saying before is we also have other positions that aren't first responder specific.
Yeah.
People ask about that too. If you're good at like social media and communications and graphic design, we'd love to have you on board and help with that. We also have any bookkeeping, paperwork. There's all kinds of stuff to do around here. We also have the liaison positions that are both open right now for Jefferson, that's actually not right. It's St. Lawrence and Lewis counties. So if you're interested in being like a PR person and a spokesperson for our organization, you can apply to be a liaison and be in your own home county and talk to first responders and the public about what we do.
And I think that, now forgive me if I'm wrong in saying this, but I think if you have anything to offer, it would be worth the conversation too.
100%. If you don't find yourself in one of those positions, if you just click that link on any of those positions minus the peer advocate one, you can select a general interest when you actually do the application, and we'd be happy to talk to you if you have anything that you think that we can take.
And if you're not necessarily interested in doing hands-on volunteer work, we are always accepting donations on our website.
Mm-hmm.
And today's Friday, Black Friday, November 24th. Tuesday is Giving Tuesday. So, going back to the top of our program today, for a peer session anyways, Michael was telling me at the beginning that it only costs $35 for a session. Mm-hmm. So I think that if you could just afford to give $35, that would help a first responder to have a peer session if they need it. And it would continue to keep the cost free to the community of first responders.
Yeah, definitely. One big thing that we are asking for, if you're able to, is monthly donations, which you can do right on our website. If you can afford $10 a month, most people can give a larger amount, and let's say our average donation is around $120. That's $10 a month for the year.
Yeah.
So if you can help us in that way, it's like getting a big lump sum at one time. One big payment, one big paycheck isn't going to help you throughout the year. It's like getting a paycheck throughout the year. So $10 a month is a huge help, though it may not seem like a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And, another thing is to keep the cost of the podcast free to our listeners. You can subscribe to that. And for the next season, 2024, we have some pretty big plans for the podcast. So I think that it would be well worth having a subscription to it. Mm-hmm. And you can do that right at Buzzsprout, where we host our podcast.
Yep. Podcast.pwcnny.org is where our podcast is hosted.
Wonderful. Well, Michael, I'm going to let you get back to your weekend and maybe do some Black Friday shopping myself. And folks, if there's any sort of topics that you would like us to eventually get to, please email us at podcast@pwcnny.org, and we would be more than happy to entertain any sort of ideas. And as always, here at the Priority Wellness Podcast and the Priority Wellness Campaign, we are here for the mental health of first responders and everybody. Thank you.